Hello ladies and gents, Ghost here, and today I'll be covering the drastic changes to the RPK-74M. However, first, let me fill you in on the direction and course that DICE are taking weapon balance over on the CTE. So firstly, the suppression changes I mentioned in a previous video have come into play. Explained simply, suppressive effects will be more potent if your target is outside of your weapon's optimal range, and even more so if he's completely outside of the fall-off range altogether. However, suppressive effects on an enemy inside of your weapon's optimal range, where it's dealing a good amount of damage, will stack up much slower than before with each recurring bullet. So what this essentially means is that suppression will no longer be an annoying screen effect slapped over the opponent of whoever happens to fire first. Instead, its purpose will be for what it was originally intended, throwing off an opponent's aim at longer ranges, allowing you to move from cover to cover. Additionally, suppression effects will now affect your weapon's recoil, so if you're under said effects, it will make your weapon harder to control, but there won't be any random bullet deviation going on. So this system really rewards skill at bursting and controlling weapons. Suppression isn't the only thing DICE is touching here though, as it seems they're rather drastically rebalancing all of the weapons. The vast majority have had their spread increase, recoil and first shot multiplayers increased across the board. The PDWs have had some spread improvements however, whilst the ARs and carbines have been made harder to control. The aim here is to place the PDW somewhere between the carbines and the assault rifles. Also, the magazine-fed LMGs, such as the two RPKs, the U100 and the new L86A2, have had their spreads buffed as well, in an effort to make them more accurate over their belt-fed counterparts. And once again, the goal here is to place the mag-fed LMGs somewhere in between the belt-fed ones and the assault rifles. So where does the RPK-74M fit into all of this, and why am I showcasing this weapon specifically? Well, it's actually because they've created a new type of round for the RPK that now does 30 max damage up to 8 meters, dropping off to 20 minimum at 65 meters. Now, if you know your LMG statistics, you'll know that there are generally two different damage models, 24 maximum and 18 minimum, which you'll find on popular weapons like the MG4 or the M249 with their faster firing rates, and then there's the 33 max, 25 minimum, which you can find on the heavy hitters like the M240B or PKP Peshenek. So this 30 maximum 20 minimum model that they've implemented for the RPK-74M is something completely new, and really places it in between weapons like the MG4 and those heavy hitters I just mentioned. Now add to that the fact that these magazine-fed LMGs have received a buff to their spread increase, and that the RPK is rather easy to control due to its 600 RPM and low recoil, in fact the lowest upwards recoil of all the LMGs, and all of a sudden this weapon becomes extremely potent. Now you might notice I'm getting quite excited about this, and the reason for that is that back over on the main game, I wouldn't touch this weapon with a barge pole. It still has that 24 max damage model, so weapons like the MG4 that fire 200 rounds per minute faster and have a much larger magazine size completely outshine this weapon. I guess you could argue that it's an easy to control, but if you want something easy to control, why not go for something like the LSAT with a 100 round magazine and slightly faster firing rate? So awesome changes here DICE, I love the direction they're taking this. Mag-fed LMGs felt like a poor man's choice compared to belt-fed ones, but now we have a serious choice to make. I can see that not only with the 5 new weapons I talked about in a previous video, but with all the current weapons, DICE are trying to find a niche and purpose for each and every category. The changes to suppression and weapon recoil and controllability go hand in hand with the buffs to the headshot multiplayers and max damage changes, rewarding people with good accuracy and recoil control. So let me know what you think of these changes down below guys. Hop onto the CTE if you have access and give the new weapons a whirl. So far I really like the direction DICE are taking this, rewarding players with good recoil control and better aiming accuracy for those all important headshots. As always, I'll leave a link to the blog post down below. Thank you very much for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.